My name is Maddie and my artist is Giotto. Giotto was an Italian painter and architect from Florence, Italy. He did his work in the late Middle Ages and Gothic periods. Giovanni Villani, a writer of Florence who wrote a book on the history of Florence, said the most sovereign master of painting in his time, who drew all of his figures and their postures according to nature. He wrote this about Giotto. Giorgio Vasari, another fellow Italian painter, wrote about Giotto that the great art of painting as we know it today, introducing the technique of drawing accurately from life, which had been neglected for more than 200 years. Giotto's early years started in a farmhouse. History suggests that he was born in a farmhouse, but it was never confirmed. He was the son of a blacksmith, and Bondone was supposed to be his father's name, and he was described as a person of good standing. Giotto's real name could have been Ambrogio or Angelo, but it's unknown, so most people go with Giotto. It is implied through a poem written by a friend of Giotto's that he died at 70 years old, but other resources suggest that he died at 61. He was described as an intelligent, merry shepherd boy, and he was loved by all who knew him. His start in art began in Florentine. A great Florentine painter named Cimabue asked Giotto to become an apprentice because he came across young Giotto drawing pictures of his sheep on rocks. The drawings were so lifelike that Cimabue asked Giotto to become an apprentice immediately. Giorgio Vasari, the Italian painter that was friends with Giotto, recalled a time when the Pope sent Giotto a message requesting that Giotto display his exquisite drawing techniques and skills, and sent him a sample of his art. Giotto got smart and drew a perfect red circle, and left the Pope and others impressed that the circle was drawn freehand, without drawing compasses. Giotto's most famous paintings and important works based solely in the Scrovegni Chapel in Padua in Veneto, Italy. Giotto was given the job by a man named Enrico, who built the chapel to pray for his late father's soul. Enrico owned the palace next door and planned to restore it to live in. The palace no longer stands, but the chapel is still standing. The chapel is described as a plain building of reddish-white bricks on the outside, and also very simple on the inside. It is long on the inside, with a chancel at one end where the priest can give his mass. It has an arched roof and windows. The walls have been painted with 3 layers of pictures. The theme of the pictures is God's salvation through Jesus Christ as a Savior. The wall above the main door has something usual for that time period, a large painting of the Last Judgment, a depiction of a godly figure surrounded by hundreds of common people. A depiction of hell is in the lower corner, a contrast between good and evil. This left people with a choice as they left. On both sides of the chapel are paintings of the Annunciation. One side depicts the Virgin Mary, and the other side depicts Gabriel, the angel that brought Mary the news that she would have a son named Jesus. Around the rest of the walls, starting at the top layer, are images that depict the life of the Virgin Mary. Under the life of the Virgin Mary, in the other 2 layers, are images that depict the life of Jesus Christ. Giotto's style differs from his master Cimabue. Cimabue went for a medieval style of painting, while Giotto went for a more realistic, natural type of painting. All of his sculptures and paintings were done to scale. They weren't elongated as many other paintings and sculptures of the time were. The figures Giotto painted were solid, 3-dimensional characters. They often had accurate anatomy, facial expressions, and actions that were made to look real. He got his ideas of realism from Pietro Cavallini. Giotto used these types of paintings in the chapel to show the life of Jesus. He painted many paintings, such as